Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Wednesday, Hump Day in the Riv, and we got quite a bit to talk about here today.
It's a wet day out there.
It was extremely wet earlier. I mean, it was raining like a monsoon out there
I
earlier.
know.
Yeah, it was really bad. I hope everybody drove safely and nobody drove through Stafford Square to get underwater. But yeah, Jimmy, how you doing? Uh, Yeah, so I guess we can start with. I heard this morning that Healy is having a press conference about that disruption that they had in Boston and Fall River.
She had one already.
Yeah, and isn't it ironic that, of course, it's an election year because otherwise, why would the governor? That should be the boss. That should be the mayor of Boston. But our mayor again will probably be. I don't know if he was standing alongside of her or something, but
No,
he's
it was
like
held in Boston. She wasn't around.
well, yeah, because he's like the handle on a broken piss pot,
Right.
useless. You know, so he never has a press conference about anything. When the governor of the state thinks this kind of lunacy of people taking over city streets and doing donuts and jeopardizing public safety in the wee hours of the morning or any time of the day is important enough. Of course, it's an election year. She probably wouldn't have said anything if it wasn't, but she did. But what has Paul said about what we're going to do about it? Anything they're going to do? Absolutely nothing. And hello, David and Alphonse. So this again points to the absolutely incredible, total lack of any leadership ability that this mayor has. He doesn't even attempt to pretend that he's going to involve the citizens of Fall River, who he was elected to represent, in on anything that they're doing. Everything's a secret. It's like everything is. This is like the everything he does for 6 years is like the D-Day invasion. Everything has to be. Nobody knows anything until somebody gets sued or they have to fire somebody, and it hits the newspaper. 2 years later. So I mean, this is just again another ridiculous example of that. So I wanted to start off with that one, and then I did have a conversation. We spoke. We spoke about uh, uh, city council rep candidate Michael Canuel. Um, I did reach out to him. You gave me the number, and he did get back to me. So he not only hung the door thing on, which I thought was pretty good. We went over, but he got back to me. We had a nice discussion. I invited him to be on the show, and to his credit, he was very frank and forthcoming. And he said, "I am doing door knocking, as I well know, because he hung the thing on my door." And he said, "I am committing myself from now through the election to be out every single night after work." And he said, "I have to work, and I have children." And he said, "So it's extremely busy. So I am going to, I said, "I would love to be on, but I think it's more important for me to bring my message to the people." That's fundamentally what he said to me. And I think that's pretty important. But he did say if there's any way he can get on, or like a bad day or something, inclement weather, he will. And I told him just see Abby. Now I don't know what Abby's barking at, but maybe about that. But I thought that was at least
What's interesting is
he's responsive.
we've said this on the show before because when Carlos wasn't going to show up for the forums because he was going to go door knocking, we thought that was great. But every one of our viewers and every person out there said, no, 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 no. It's more important for him to meet with the people. It's more important for him to answer the questions.
Yeah, the fixed questions, which mean nothing, that you get 30
Exactly.
seconds. That you get 30 seconds to respond to. Listen,
Right. And we proved once again that those forums and those mock debates are a joke. You don't get any information. You don't know where anybody stands.
Yeah, and and many of them are fixed. We know, especially now, many of them are rigged. They've got the questions. Uh, And listen, we ran quite a few debates, and they were well run. We tried to filter the questions.
Bill Rapley.
We had good moderators. Not only Bill, we had a lot of good
Oh
moderators.
no, we had some great ones. Steve Clampkin.
Yeah, we had a lot of good moderators.
Yeah.
But look, I'm gonna be perfectly frank. We ran them because people wanted to see a debate. But in reality, as you said, CJ, when you get 1 minute to answer a question, 30 seconds to rebut, and then you get into that, speaking over each other, and some of the questions they go off the rails on. You don't really learn anything. It's like, and who goes to those debates? You and I ran enough of those debates to know it was like being at a baseball game. The Yankee fans are on one side, the Red Sox fans are on the other side, and everybody in between is just there to watch a baseball game, and they're a very small minority of the crowd. When people go to these debates, they drag their followers in, and it's you can't get information. And
Right.
you're right, you don't reach as many people. But I'm going to tell you something. If somebody calls me like Michael Canuel did, and will spend time on the phone talking to me, answering questions, and asking me he asked me for the information that I wrote, and I sent it to him. To me, that shows an engagement with the voters, and
Right.
I think that's important. And you and I both agree on that. That listen, bringing your message to the people is more important. These debates, and now especially these online debates. I mean, all of a sudden Coogan gets the only one that's taped. It's like, come on. It's like this is a dog and pony show.
Well, it was interesting because I looked at a podcaster, a local podcast was bringing people on to talk about during the mayoral races about issues, et cetera, et cetera. Yet that podcaster donated to one particular candidate. How can you say that podcast is fair and balanced? I'm not going to say who the candidate was, but it wasn't a small donation. It was $250.
Yeah, that's a big donation.
That's right.
It's a big donation. No, you're right.
That's why I tell people, read those OCPF reports. Read them regularly.
Yeah, you did tell us, Jeffrey, about him. I hope he's doing well. But then again, we get back to that unfortunate reality that these people have to show up. And that's the key. The key is they have to show up. In the last election when Trump ran, we had a lot of people, not as many as should have, but a hell of a lot more than we've ever seen in decades.
Right.
And you saw that it flipped an election red. And, this is the key. Because most people, when politicians do things, press conferences and these debates, you can't get enough information. Maybe a Lincoln Douglas, maybe a meeting where you're taking just direct questions from the public with nobody when you don't know. And rest his soul, Charlie Kirk showed he had the courage to invite anybody to the mic in the audience that disagreed with him. No, and you look at the opposite of this, that the leading Democratic candidate for governor, and I don't want to mess her name up, so I'm going to probably look it up again. I think it's Porter, but I'm gonna double check. Yeah, Katie Porter, considered by many Democrats to be the front runner. She got interviewed by Fox, which obviously is a conservative Republican station, but they're fairly they ask pretty good questions, and the problem was she didn't like the questions because they asked follow-up questions. I believe it was Martha. Yeah, Martha McCallum, very very good reporter, and she asked a couple of tough follow up questions. And you know what that front runner for the Democrats do, like they always do. Uh, this is too. Where words? This is becoming too. Uh, it was. I feel that this is unnecessarily argumentative. That's a quote. So when you ask them a question they don't want to answer, the Democrats, like she couldn't call her a Nazi or a racist. So she said that the question was unnecessarily argumentative. I don't want it, and there's another quote, I don't want to keep doing this, I'm going to call it. And she ended the interview. See, this is what these politicians do. If they don't like the question, that's why they shouldn't be in office. This woman should not be elected.
And this is why our debates suck.
Yeah.
Because they don't ask follow-up questions. And when a candidate is going somewhere to prove a point, they shut them up and tell them, I have to interrupt you there. You can't do that. You have to take everything to the ultimate end. It doesn't work otherwise. I don't even bother posting it.
Yeah, no, Gene said, this is the thing. If they say they can't, like I said, I understand Michael Canuel saying that I'm going with the door knocking, and that's his prerogative. But he did answer my questions, and he's available, and he's going and meeting the people. So okay, but when people don't door knock, don't do anything, and then they'll come on the show, and then they say, as Gene said, it's not like they got to get off their butt, go to BCC, go to the studio. All they got to do, we'll send them a link, get on the link, and sit in their living room, as Gene said, and eat spaghetti if they want, and just tell the people what they feel. This is crazy, but this is what these politicians do. They evade issues. It's unnecessarily argumentative. It's like somebody telling you, if you ask a question, CJ, what are you going to do to hold taxes down? And they go, well, yeah, I'm gonna hold them down. And you say, well, how? And they go, well, that's unnecessarily argumentative.
Right, exactly. But that's what we got.
So I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
That's what we got during the preliminary. If
Yeah.
you remember, during the preliminary, when you asked a question, you couldn't ask a follow-up.
Yeah.
And if you answered the question with some follow-up, you were shut down.
Yeah. Or they didn't answer it. Like when I said, give me a reason why you're running against someone that you were a real big fan of, and we never did get an answer to that question.
That's right.
But it's this is the problem. Get rid of that hammer and sickle. I'm not going to promote a symbol of communism on this show, CJ.
I know. That's why I'm not posting his comments.
Well, I can see the hammer and sickle on my thing, so.
Yeah, but you can see it and I can see it, but
Okay.
you can't see that if you're.
Okay. Well, so I'm not going to promote communism on this show because
That's right.
Because you can be a communist all you want. That's one of the great things about America, that you have the right to support a form of government and
form of government
communism that has been a dismal failure throughout history, and has caused. You talk to anybody from a communist that lived in a communist country, they will get violent with you you tell them you're a communist. Go down to Little Havana, down in Florida, and try to preach the communist doctrine. You get guys like Rubio, whose parents were persecuted, and it was funny you're talking about that because I looked at the commies, one of the real commie, what their plans are by Saul Alinsky, who was a guy who was never, he was part of it, but he promoted a lot of this stuff. And this is what their blueprint was. Their control to create a socialist nation. Healthcare, controlled healthcare, and you can control the people. They tried that with Obamacare. Poverty, increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you are providing everything to them. They have to, and that's what happens in Russia when they have no food. Debt, increase the debt to an unsustainable level. That way you are able to increase taxes, and this will produce more poverty. They like poverty because, nobody in these socialist countries like Castro and in Russia and in China live in poverty. They're all loaded. Gun control, remove the ability to defend themselves from that way you're able to create a police state. Welfare, take control of every aspect of their lives, food, housing, and income. Education, control of what people read and listen to. Take control of what children learn in school. Religion, remove the belief in the God from the government and the schools. Class warfare, divide the people into wealthy and poor. That will cause more discontent, and it will be easier to take the wealthy and tax them. So this is why socialism and communism always fail. They create tremendously poor people and tremendously rich people. It has just the opposite. In theory, it's wonderful, but in practice, it's been tried numerous times. And what does it result in? A lot of people getting murdered, stuck in gulags. As we said, we don't have to. It's not a theory; it's a fact. Look what happened in Tiananmen Square. There's not a lot of riots in Red China; they don't last long. There's not a lot of riots in Russia; they don't last long. When it was the USSR in Czechoslovakia and they demonstrated for freedom. They ran them over with the tanks. Hong Kong had a few riots when China took it over from Britain, and those riots lasted a couple days, and now they're no longer around. Why? You don't last long in those regimes. You have no freedom at all. And as I said, people that came from Russia used to cry when they walked into a supermarket in the United States because they never saw that much food. Now Russia's actually, ironically enough, it's not as socialistic as it used to be. They've become a lot more capitalistic in Russia. That's why the food shortages aren't as great. It's still not great. Their living standard is well below other countries, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Why? Because they have abandoned basically taking all the money. So, but I'm not going to promote that on this show. You can be a communist, you can be a socialist, you can be a unicorn. That's the great thing about America. And we're not going to stop you. The Democrats want to shoot everybody that's different than them. Like this guy running for, you hear about this guy running for Attorney General in Virginia? CJ?
Yes.
Yeah, he was fantasizing about killing his opponent.
Right.
And he said if he had 2 bullets in his gun and he had Hitler, Pol Pot, and his opponent, he would put 2 bullets in the head of his opponent. And he'd also like to see his children, who were 2 and 5 at the time, die while they're in their mother's arms. And this guy's running for the top law enforcement official in Virginia, and not one Democrat has said he should withdraw from the race. As a matter of fact, that useless piece of uh, excrement, Tim Kaine, said, "Oh, I'm still with him. He apologized." You can't apologize for that. That's not sufficient. It shows something radically wrong with you that you fantasize about killing people. And this is what we got in the United States. They're putting bounties on ICE agents, $10,000 if you kill one. This country is in a lot of trouble. This is why they have to protect these people with the National Guard, because it's getting out of control. They got rammed by cars. One woman rammed them. 10 cars were surrounded them. One woman rammed them, and she had an AR-15. Fortunately, they returned fire. But this is crazy. I love it when the Democrats talk about democracy, and they want nothing more than having a fascist government, because all you have to do is watch Bondi. Boy, she kicked their butt, because she called every one of them out. She called Bloomberg about lying about his military service. She called Sheldon Whitehouse out about getting the $8 million that we talked about months ago on his show for his wife's nonprofit in Rhode Island, and getting her $1.5 million contract as a consultant. But she had the goods on all of them. She had the goods on all of them. And they got all upset because she told them. She told them. She said, you're going to tell me about that when you people stopped the government?" And that's what they did. They stopped the government. So we can, the Democrats are pathological liars, always have been. And it's a sad commentary, but I actually have a list of of the Democratic demands. This is what they want: give illegal aliens free health care, which is true. They say there's none. It's prohibited by law, but it isn't. Obama and Biden created loopholes, and they filter it through the states. Spend $1.4 trillion more. Send your tax dollars overseas for woke projects, and they named them. We heard them all with Doge, like giving singing lessons to transvestite Somalians or something like that, and cut sick. This is a great one, though. This is the one I like the best. They're talking about the Republicans are trying to destroy healthcare. Cut $50 billion for America's rural hospitals. But they're trying to save your healthcare. So this goes to show they're full of crap. And we can prove that stuff too. And the Speaker of the House has showed those things on television. He showed what they're proposing. I have a list of everything they proposed. And I also have the list of what the Republican approach, which was nothing. Just saying, let's go another 7 weeks and we'll deal with it. We'll figure it out during the 7 weeks. Just leave everything the way it is, and let's just negotiate the 7 weeks. And the Democrats decided that they're gonna just do something and then try to blame it on everybody else like they always do. It's always somebody else's fault. And but that's the problem. People are gonna vote. People are upset. A lot of people. That's why in red states they're getting in, but in states like this, it just boggles my mind. Yeah, we just can't get out of our own way. Like I said, gerrymandering started in Massachusetts, and you can't get anybody from another party in office. CJ knows that.
Hey, we saw that recently in 2020.
Yeah.
Because remember they wanted to put Fall River and New Bedford together?
Oh, yeah. That's right. No
and
way.
That would have given Fall River and New Bedford a bigger voice and more power in the state.
Yeah.
But they said, oh, no, 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 no. Let's not make those two poor communities powerful. Keep them apart. Keep them apart.
That's right. Let's not let the poor people get the majority.
That's right.
Let's keep all the rich. That's like when you look at Illinois and you look at the way they gerrymandered, where you see like a section down here where they had, conservative voters, and then all of a sudden there's this little appendage that goes up like halfway up the state to include where all the rich people lived, and there's a majority of rich people, so they can't get. It's like California is a great example of that. Most of the elections, you know that 40% of the voters in California are Republicans?
Yet they have zero Republican representation.
Virtually, I think 4 out of 50 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. The gerrymander. I mean, these people, it's crazy, and you wonder. But it's up to the people. The people are going to rise up. But gerrymandering makes it impossible. Listen. Let's face it. They cheat. They cheat. You go to the grocery store, you can't cheat. You got no money. You go to the grocery store and you walk into the aisle and she scans all your stuff and she says $280, and you go, well, I only got a $20 bill, but aren't you going to give me something? No, you're not going to get anything. Beat it. We got to. It is what it is. We can go to socialism and have nothing in the store. Then you'll be able to afford the loaf of bread you can get once every 5 weeks. But this is, you got to blame this strictly on the voters. The voters should revolt. I think.
The problem is you can't even get them out to vote.
I know California, I think, is actually, there was an initiative to try to get the gerrymandering thing. They wanted to have it on a ballot and to stop it, but I don't know how successful it's going to be, because there's just so much money in California and so much, when the movie actors who live in la la land, because they nobody's getting near them. They're living in gated communities. They have their own security force and everything else like that. But they can talk about we shouldn't. Nothing's happened. There's nothing here to see. Oh yeah, well I guess Chicago wasn't too bad last weekend, right? Only 28 people got shot.
That's it.
Yeah, only 28. So that was a good week, I guess.
I was going to say,
according to their socialist mayor, and according to their well, I don't know what he is, governor, but there's nothing wrong. Yeah, that's right. There's four reps out of 54. That's because of gerrymandering. I mean, they should have 40%. They should have 40%. And that's.
Yeah, but the problem is what they should have and what they actually have is because people do not come out and vote. And that's the big problem. But when you're voting in an area that's gerrymandered so that it's all Democrats, it's kind of difficult. You're fighting a losing battle, just like you are in Massachusetts.
And isn't it amazing? But like Charlie Reese was right. Both parties gerrymander, and both parties protect themselves.
Right.
And that's the problem. Why did Massachusetts, when we voted for it, not be able to elect their judges? Because they wouldn't let us. The politicians blocked it. We wanted the death penalty. They blocked it. We wanted a reduction in our state tax. They blocked it. Why haven't they passed a law? Why hasn't the politicians who were so interested in being our representatives, and they want a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So why don't we make it really fair? Whatever the percentage of Democrats, Republicans, and independents in here, that should be reflected in the number of seats they have. That would mean in California, rather than having 4 seats, they would have 21 0.6. So we could give that 0.6 seat to an independent and make it fair. But it's never going to happen because both parties are interested in power, not the people. Oh yeah, he's trying to. Yeah, he wants to eliminate all of them. 4 is way too much. It is a matter of fact, I think, Gene, he wants to create another district. So rather than gaining 4 seats, they're going to gain 5. I think his plan was to actually split a district and get another Democratic rep. So he doesn't want to just have 4, he wants 5. But that's, like I said, when you look at what they do, they always say, don't listen to what somebody says. Pay attention to what they do. These people are all just full of crap and corrupt.
The problem is, Jeff, a lot of alligator mouths connected to canary asses. They don't do anything about it. They don't vote. They don't come out and volunteer. They don't help the candidates. They don't care.
Most
it's
importantly, they don't vote.
Pathetic.
Yeah, and the other problem is, like I said, they won't ever allow us to get anything done because they'll just block it. It doesn't matter.
Right. Just like they did on auditing the state legislature.
Yeah.
It's been almost a year, and it still hasn't happened. Why? Why? What does the state legislature have to hide?
I would guess a lot.
I would think so too.
Yeah. He wants to eliminate everything, Gene. But look, that's the key. The key is that they have created a government that isn't really a democratic republic, a constitutional republic, or whatever you want to refer to it to, but it is not a true democracy. It is a republic, which is a representative form of government. And it is also stipulated by the Constitution. But there are supposed to be a balance of power, but there's no balance of power between the people because the Constitution clearly states that there are representatives and they're answerable to us, that we the people. And then when a government stops working for us, we are mandated by the Declaration to change it.
You're speaking sedition.
But you can't change it because they've changed the rules in favor of themselves. Your legislature in Massachusetts can ignore you and have been ignoring you for decades. You want to reduce the sales tax? Pick a finger. You want to elect your judges? Pick another finger. Yeah, that's all they do. And this is what happens. Because you have to get a ballot initiative, and even then, the one on capital punishment was a ballot initiative. We voted for it. Then they come up with inventive ways. First they said, "Oh no, the judges, you can't. You need a constitutional convention."
Well, that's what they said about term limits.
Well, why don't we have one then? Why didn't we have one? Just like they need an audit, but they haven't had one yet.
Oh no, that's not true. They had a constitutional convention recently. That's where they got the millionaire tax. Remember,
they get more money. They made sure that they had a constitutional convention for something they wanted.
That's right.
They never had a constitutional convention for the people.
That's right.
So they wanted to push their agenda, and therein lies the problem. And they've ended up saying that, listen, we are the law in direct conflict of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which clearly states they are our representatives. That's why somebody that is
That's not exactly what I heard, Gene.
Committed.
What I heard was she was given a job to replace Allen, because Allen is allegedly considering stepping down. for health reasons. And she's going to run for his office. But, again, these are rumors. But you know how the rumor mill is here in Fall River.
Yeah, well,
Accurate 99.9% of the time.
well, let's
And to bring it up, Monica is not exactly doing her job, seeing that nobody's in that office. When Clara was in that office, Clara was in there 6 days a week. There was always someone in that office. You go by that office, the lights are off, the place is a pigsty, nothing's changing. Christopher Sylvia had to go over there and clean that office, the streets in that office. Where was Monica? She lollygagging around?
beats
That's
me.
our tax dollars. I don't know.
Well, look, I just hope there's some other candidates out there in the South End. The South End.
The problem is nobody wants to run in the South End. I know. I ran.
That's a shame because, that's a pretty nice gig up there. You go up there and you disappear into the woodwork. Nobody knows what you do. You come down there and say, "Oh, I got some money for Fall River. Look at me," and you just wander around the state house and do whatever the speaker tells you to do, and it's a pretty good gig up there. I've seen the, it's a nice club. They got a nice club up there. I remember the time we were fighting over something, and when Bob Correa was the mayor, and I forgot what it was already, but we went up there for a hearing, and we went into the hearing room and we sat down, and then all the public elected officials who were on the committee conducting the hearing came out of the back room. And you know who walked out of the back room with them? Bob Correa, the former whip. So we knew we weren't going to win that hearing. He was in the back room with his pals. That went down in flames. Yeah, no, listen, nobody was, I don't think any.
Nobody denies that Chris did a great job in cleaning up his part of the South End, but it isn't his job.
That's right. It's Paul Coogan's job.
Okay.
It's the city's job, and as far as the rep's office, it's the rep's job to make sure his office looks presentable.
That's right.
But that's the issue here. Listen, nobody said anything derogatory about. We were talking about his candidacy and why. Well, my personal thing was he was a big supporter of Coogan, and I just asked a simple question that I never got an answer to. But that's political. As far as being a human being, it seems like he cares about people, cares about the city, and that's nice. So that's good. Nobody's going to say that's a bad thing, but that's the reality is that our streets are a mess. Nobody does anything about anything, and we've got a mayor that just look. We had this circus going on. I think now I heard it was in 2 spots, so not just one. But I think it just extended because I think where they said it extended to was up to Wall Street, a very short ways, up to Central Street.
That's where it occurred. That's where it occurred. As a matter of fact, if you look at the videos of that street now, you can see all the tire marks on the street, donuts and whatnot.
And I heard allegedly, I'm saying allegedly because we haven't confirmed it. Allegedly, it was said on some I don't know, talk show or something like that. It was said allegedly by someone that those miscreants that were doing that actually were going to another community, but they got turned back.
Right, Brockton.
So when they got bounced, they came to a place they know nothing's going to get done until it hits critical mass. You think we could have, and that was all over Facebook. I heard a couple of arrests. Somebody said, well, I've heard about it on Facebook. Well, you know it was coming. Brockton knew it was coming. What are we doing? You think we could have turned them back at the Fall River line?
It was 200 people. Obviously, if Brockton could do it, why couldn't we? And again, why did it take ambulances to have to find a way around them for the police to get involved?
Yeah, it's kind of like Portland, Oregon, huh? Where they're assaulting conservatives and conservative reporters, and they arrested the conservative reporter.
Right.
And they had a video of somebody sucker shotting her. She had a black eye. And then they had another conservative reporter that was assaulted. And the police in Portland were told, leave them alone. Don't do it. And they have, what the hell did they call them? What was that euphemism they called them? They have police officers up there who can't arrest people. Dialogue officers or something. They're supposed to go talk to them. That's like they're going to pay them police pay for being social workers. And they actually had the video of that police officer with that designation walking behind the two perpetrators of an assault and just let them walk away. And they walked into the building where Antifa had their headquarters. And then he just turned around and walked away. And you got a female reporter with a shiner, and a nice one too. I mean, a big one. This is not an America that allows free speech. It allows riots and assaults and nothing. And they say this is democracy. No, it's not democracy. We're getting closer and closer to being a communist country where they shoot people who they demonstrate with. The only problem is they're not shooting the Democratic supporters. They're beating other people up. Well, what's next? They're going to shoot some like they shot Charlie Kirk. What happens if the Republicans reciprocate now? They'll say, see, we told you they were Nazis and fascists. That's the problem. We've forgotten that this country does not give you the right to kill people you disagree with. But it's okay for them. Burn down cities, burn down, Portland, burn down, half of Minnesota, and 500 riots, and no comment from the propaganda media. We do have a semi-communist country. If you listen to the propaganda media, how much coverage of the Ukrainian girl that got stabbed on the subway? How much did you see on mainstream media? I saw virtually nothing. As a matter of fact, I saw nothing on it. And then you look at the reporting on it. They didn't even put it in context. A woman assaulted. No, she was murdered, bled to death in the car, and they had it on video. And they had the 911 calls. Bled to death. But you don't hear anything about that because, well, she's not one of the team. The team can do anything they want. The team can ram ICE cars. We don't care. These people are law enforcement officers. If they're doing something wrong, file charges against them. But they're not doing anything wrong. They're enforcing federal law. But they don't like federal law now. It doesn't suit them. So now that gives them the right to put bounties on their heads, to have AR-15s and ram them in cars. This country is on its way to, I think, there's going to be a catastrophe in a not too distant future. They're going to pull this in areas where there are people who will fight back, not hide. They're going to pick the wrong people. And the only one thing you can prove is once you start this, it doesn't end well. I mean, if you want to end this stuff, what do we do? Do we become communists? Are we going to use the Red Chinese philosophy of shooting, just open fire in Tiananmen Square? Run them over with tanks like the Russians did? Yeah, that's communism. Great, great philosophy. Well, I can guarantee you right now, if they put a 50 caliber machine gun on the roof of the ICE office and open up on Antifa, there'll be no more Antifa demonstrations in that area. But is that the right thing to do? Some people may say yes, but in this country, we're not supposed to do that. And if you can't figure that out, you are a Democrat and you need to be put in a mental institution. If you think killing somebody because they have a different opinion and you put a different label on them. I saw a video the other day. Some guy said, it's not illegal to be undocumented. Really? Well, this is what the Democrats do. It's semantics. They change the label. You call a illegal alien undocumented, so no, he's no longer an illegal alien. Just not because he isn't, but because you changed what you called him. You call a man a woman and a woman a man. They also labeled pedophiles. What do they call pedophiles? Minor attracted person. Does that change the fact that they molest children? Oh, no, he's not a pedophile. He's a minor attracted person. Really? So he rapes a 4-year-old, but you can't incarcerate him because he's not a pedophile. He's a minor attracted person. This guy's not illegal anymore. We called him undocumented. That's labeling. And that's why the Democrats love to split everybody up into little labels and stick them on your forehead. Don't fall for it. Come out and vote. That's what you got to do. Because this is total BS. Everything they're doing is BS. I read you what they want. They're stopping the government. They're lying all the time. And there's only one solution. Vote them out.
I have to break in here. I just received notification that the Matt Malone report. Remember that report?
Oh, God, what was that? Like 10 years ago? No, I'm only kidding.
The Matt Malone report has finally been released to the Secretary of State for in-camera review for a determination on whether or not the people have a right to see it. That decision will be rendered in 10 days. 10 business days.
So the Secretary of State is going to ask if the people who the Constitution of the state says they are answerable to at all times have a right to see it. Is that correct?
Yep. In 10 business days, that decision will be rendered.
I like that one, Gene. I think that was Gene, right? You just dropped it off the thing. Perfect target. Yeah. But yeah, this is the insanity of this state. You got the Secretary of State. That should last about a New York minute in the Secretary of State's office, because if he knows the Constitution, he should realize that we do have a right to see it, because the Constitution says that they work for us and they are answerable to us at all times. Not
the person handling it. The person handling it at the Secretary of State's office is Michael Manning.
Do we have an email that we can email them?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Michael.Manning at sec.state.ma.us.
Text me that email. I'm going to email them tonight and remind them what the Constitution says, and tell them that the people of Fall River have a right to see that report.
Be interesting to see how he feels.
Yeah, he'll probably tell me to pick a finger, but I've been told that before too. It doesn't bother me. I'm still going to get my 2 cents in. You know, I'm still going to get my 2 cents in. You should all email him. You should put it on the Spindle City. Everybody email this guy and tell him the people of Fall River have, and the taxpayers have to pay the lawsuits that this guy's responsible for.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yes, he is. Oh, yes, they all are, Gene. Well, this is all, everything's allegedly. So let's say allegedly. No allegations have been proved. So on that one, that's actually a non sequitur. It's not even something we should. I mean, who cares? Who cares? You know, there's a million political jobs that have been given out, but let's stop. Let's get rid of the people who give out the political jobs.
That's it.
That's it. Replace them. Replace them.
What qualifications did she have? What qualifications did she have to hold that job? You don't have to have any. You have to be a political kiss ass. And that's what she was.
Yep. You well, you have to, the state rep has to like you, and it gives you a
That's
job.
right.
Remember when what's his
And you have
name?
to know how to answer the phone, answer emails, and deal with constituent services. Something that Monica is currently allegedly not doing because she's never in the office. People go by there all the time. Nobody says the office is open. Where is she? Where is she? She's collecting a paycheck. She's collecting benefits. Where is she?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we can debate, talk, discuss whatever we want. But the reality is, the only solution is for people to go to the polls and throw these clowns out. Yeah, he is a wicked liberal. Let me look up his. Hang on. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead. Take it away. I'm gonna.
He's a Democrat. Bill Galvin.
Oh, Galvin?
Yeah.
Oh God, he's been here like 6,000 years.
Yes.
I remember them having a time for him at the Venus, probably 20 years ago. Because I was invited. I didn't go, but I was invited by somebody that knew him. But I was still running the union, so that was a long time ago. Yeah, he's been in forever. But Galvin's not doing it. One of his minions is doing it.
Right.
This Michael, what's his name? Michael something or other?
Manning.
Michael Manning. Okay. But again,
I'll say it again. It's Michael, Michael, Manning, Manning, at sec.state.ma.us. I wonder if .us means uninformed suckers.
that could be. I don't know. That's a good guess, though. Galvin, yeah, Jesus, I forgot. That's right. I forgot what he was. He's been up there so long. He just melts into the woodwork. I don't think Galvin's been to Fall River 3 times in the last 20 years.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't even know if he knows where it is.
He has a driver bring him here. He doesn't need to know. That's
Yeah.
what they got GPS for.
Yeah, he's
Well,
got.
I want to thank you all for watching, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Remember, on Friday, we have Gabriel Amaral to discuss with you and answer your questions. You have to ask them. So please be sure to show up. We'll see you Friday. Have a great day.